Hey, this is Christian Kane. You're listening to Dispatch Radio.
Well, folks, we've been talking about a lot of different films, and one of the ones that we've talked about here was Tom Hiddleston and his new biopic. It's a Hank Williams film, and it's called I Saw the Light. We have actress Denise Gossett on with us. We're going to talk about that film and many of her other projects. Denise, how are you doing?
I am doing great. How are you doing, Brandon?
Oh, we're just so blessed, and I'm glad I had a chance to talk to you about this. And Mark Abraham is the director on this. But tell everybody a little bit about the film and how you kind of got tied into playing one of the characters.
Well, it was an audition process. So I got the audition through my agent, one of my Southern agents, actually, and had the audition, and then I had the callback, and I actually met with Mark. And what a down-to-earth guy, just really sweet. And matter of fact, I read first, and then he was like, oh, wow, that writing is not great. Let's change things up. It's his own writing, the sweet guy. So he was just very humble and down-to-earth guy.
That's fantastic. And you play Mrs. Jones. That would be Hank Williams' mother-in-law. And it's a great cast in and of itself. So tell us a little bit about the scenes and who you got to work with.
I worked with Tom, and I worked with actually it was a large scene. So it's like a picnic. This is the first time that I was meeting this guy that our daughter's been dating, and of course, I'm going into the situation thinking there's no way that this country guy is coming here and, going to take my 18-year-old daughter. And, of course, he's so charming as Hank that when he shows up, of course, me and my husband are just in love with him. And there's all kinds of kids in the scene and running around. It's just a lovely, lovely scene where we get to know him away from playing country music.
It is, obviously being a biopic, is it something that you put a little time in learning a little bit more about Williams' actual life and, Mrs. Jones herself? And tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, he's got a huge fan base, so there's tons of stuff you can find on him. And, and his tragic life, all the things he went through and, being born with spina bifida and no one knowing about it. He suffered with back pain for his entire life. And so that's what started with the prescription meds and the drinking. And it just led him down that road. But it all was starting because of this constant pain he was in. Wow. Yeah. It's definitely a great story and a great topic. Yeah. Yeah, it was fascinating to read all of the little details about him. And his music is just phenomenal.
Well, obviously, Tom Hiddleston is won over just fans all over the globe, obviously playing Loki and Thor and Avengers, and now obviously many, many other roles have just been amazing. How do you go? I mean, he just transformed into Hank Williams. You watch the trailer and the voice, and you're just like blown away. Is it just, even as an actress, I mean, you're not supposed to kind of be in awe, but are you even a little bit in awe of his amazing talent and what he brings to a film like this?
Oh, absolutely. I was in awe. Matter of fact, I told him on set, I said, this movie is going to do amazing things for your career. And he was like, you think? I go, I know. It was funny because, Hank Williams has dark eyes and Tom has blue. So he had to dye his hair dark brown, and he had to wear contacts. And Hank Williams is quite a bit thinner than Tom Hiddleston. So the poor guy, he was running and constantly trying to lose weight. He was drinking these green goopy things for his meals, and so I was giving him a little bit of a hard time about those. But what's really, really cool and fascinating that he was telling me before we started shooting, he was able to play live at a country music festival. And, so he played to, I think it was a very large number of people that were already at this festival. And he got to go up and do a couple of songs as Hank Williams, singing Hank songs. And it blew everyone away because he had been practicing so much. And so he even got to have that feeling of playing for a huge live audience, which he said he loved. So he had all the recordings on his phone, and he was playing them for me. And I'm like, oh, I'm blown away. You have him. You got him down perfectly. So he really worked hard.
Well, and you're touching on that, and the other thing I think you touch on with someone like with Hiddleston is that he is still just so humble. He doesn't seem to even get what he's become.
No, yeah, you're right. He is so it's funny because it was like I was doing a play with just another actor at my level, and we just chit-chatted about all kinds of things, and I never felt like he felt he was a star.
That's amazing. That's great stuff. And folks, we're talking about I Saw the Light. It opens November 27th wide. You probably can catch some early screens. We're probably going to have some tickets available here if you're in the Central Florida area. We'll be doing that. But we're talking to Denise Gossett, and she's a Florida girl, by the way. We're going to get to more of that here in a moment. But you have another great film I want to keep an eye on here. Morris Chestnut is in a film called When the Bow Breaks. It's a drama, and I don't know much about it other than that, but I'm a big fan of Morris Chestnut. So tell us a little bit about that film and what people can expect.
Oh, yes. It is a thriller. And Morris and his wife in the movie want to have a baby, and they're having trouble. So they end up going with a surrogate. It's kind of a story, we've seen before. But this one has a lot of different twists. So it's really cool what happens with the relationship with the surrogate mother who's going to have their child. And it gets pretty intense. I play his secretary, basically his right-hand woman. And, we go through some of the stuff that's happening with this woman, and I try to protect him in different ways from it.
Interesting. I know that there's a lot of themes that seem like it overlaps with other films and that kind of thing. Was it a similar audition and creative process for you, or was there something very unique about this film?
It was basically the same creative process. But, it's always different because you're working with new people. Mm-hmm. And Morris was just delightful. We ran lines, we chit-chatted, he's very serious when he works, I will say that, but super nice guy.
And he's about ready to break out big time, folks. If you're not familiar with his work, you will be in the next couple of years. He is an amazingly talented young man and just a great upside to his career, I feel. And this is just another one, a great film on his resume. And it had to be a great experience for you to be able to kind of, thread a couple of these back to back is what I think are going to be very successful films.
Yes, I agree. I'm actually very, very excited about these. And I'm hoping to attend a bunch of the premieres beforehand, so I'll have I'll be able to call you and say, hey, this is what happens.
That would be great. Well, and Denise, I know she is, obviously, folks, she is into a lot of horror films. She is actually the mind behind a LA film festival called Shriek Fest. And I know we don't really cover a lot of horror genre stuff here, and that's not kind of where we're focused, but definitely keep an eye out for that. We'll link to a couple of those things and, give you a heads up there. She is definitely a guru if that's something that you're interested in when it comes to that. And she has other films down that same road. I mean, obviously, The Cellar Door 2 is a film that she's got coming and that kind of thing. So, but she's a Florida girl right here in Orlando. I didn't know. So I was like, great. When I saw my prep work, I'm like, I know where Lake Brantley is. I know where Rollins College is. It's a girl from my backyard. Next thing I know, I'm talking to her. How many years has this been? So it's got to be pretty cool, to know that you're from the East Coast to the West Coast and getting to live your dream.
Yes. I love Florida, love Florida. And every time I get back there, I'm just thrilled. LA can be hard on you. It really can. And so a couple of years ago, we became bi-coastal because we didn't want to raise our daughter in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And back to Florida, it's wonderful.
It's great to have you back in Florida, and I have to get right to some of the fun stuff because you've had so many opportunities to, little one-off opportunities on different shows and that kind of thing, and I'd be remiss. My girls would be angry if I didn't ask for a behind-the-scenes story or a little funny moment or something with one of your appearances on Zoe 101 or Drake and Josh. They were two of their favorites. They loved those shows, and you at least got to keep your name on the list of that. It's on IMDb forever. There she is having a part. But any cool experiences that you could share?
Yeah, well, on Zoe 101, the kids were just phenomenal. I get to work with them many times, and they were all so sweet. And, of course, my character is I'm the wife of the principal, and she's not a very kind woman. And the kids, after every take, were always like, "Oh my gosh, you're so funny." But there was this scene where I'm so into my new phone and texting away that I don't see this coffee cart running out of control about to hit me. And of course, in the TV show, it does hit me. But when we were shooting, there was one point it really did get out of control, and the stunt coordinator, even though I wasn't doing a stunt, he's there kind of to supervise. He ended up running and pushing me out of the way because I really was about to get hit with that thing, and that would have been terrible because it was huge. So that was kind of funny. Everyone was a little bit shocked. But it all worked out.
That's great. Great stuff. And a great resume of different film credits there, folks. You probably have seen her on many of these different shows. Veronica Mars, I know, has a huge fan base. Burn Crisis. Yeah. I mean, do you have anybody ever come up to you and recognize you from like one of those kinds of things where you've done like one episode or a very short, small type thing and you're just blown away that someone is like, that's of all things, that's what you know me from?
Well, yes. It's funny because often people will say things like, "You just seem so familiar to me," and I don't say anything. And then, like moving back to Florida, meeting all these new people, and I would hear that often. And then it came out once. Somehow, the dad in one of my daughter's classes, his daughter's in the class, he found out and somehow had IMDb'd me, and she came to school one day saying, "Oh, your mom's a movie star." And my dad at her like, "What are you talking about?" Because your own kids don't ever think that of you. But she was freaking out. But I've been on walks and had people go, "Aren't you an actress?" And I'm like, "What?" So believe it or not, I think it's like the Zoe 101s and the Drake and Joshes that people know the most because their kids watch them all the time.
Sure. Yeah, they'll get older and they'll realize that these other shows are actually pretty good too. Just hang in there.
Yeah.
What has been like the one big thing that because it's been quite a journey, obviously, from those days where you decided that this is kind of like you wanted to be. Followed your dramatic studies instead of some of the other things that possibly were in your life. And looking back now, what are some of the things that you're really, really proud of?
I'm really proud of Get the Gringo.
Yeah, that's where I knew you from.
Oh, yeah? So you've seen it?
Oh, yeah. Mel Gibson. That's one of those... Yeah, be perfectly honest, folks, you would expect it from me, so I'm sorry if I even hurt Denise's feelings a little bit. Hey, listen, Mel Gibson, if you hadn't gone so crazy, more people probably would have seen this great film. But people think you're a little crazy, so they stay away from your films. It's really a shame, because this one's really good. But, it really is a good film.
That one is a really, and it's crazy because we shot it in Mexico City. And afterwards, so like 2 months after we finished wrapping, is when all this happened. And I got to tell you, I was in shock because what I was hearing and seeing on the news and stuff was not the man I had just worked with. That's
what everybody says. And it's obviously, I've said it public, so it's no big deal for me to repeat it. Obviously, there's some alcohol problems, folks. And, it's a sin, it's a vice that once you go down the road, Lord knows what will come out of your mouth and what kind of things you can get yourself in trouble for. And sadly, it hurt this film, to be perfectly honest. It really, really did. And it's a great film, and you would love Denise Gossett in it. You should watch it. You should check it out. She's really good. It's a really good film. It is. It's the one I knew you from, but I didn't know exactly how to mix that into things because we've beaten poor Mel to death. He's disappointed us all, and it's there. It is what it is. We pray for him and hope for the best. And someday, things can turn around. Everyone gets another shot. Look at John Travolta. Who would have ever thought 20 years ago John Travolta is who he is today, right? I mean, it was done. So you never know. So, Denise Gossett, I am so thrilled to get to know you a little bit better. Obviously, you're a hometown girl for me. We broadcast out of Central Florida, and we're doing that kind of thing here locally. So it'd be great to get to know you better and support some of these new films and projects and that kind of thing. I can't wait to see. I saw the light and wait for my date, my screener date, which will probably be next month. But hopefully soon I'll be able to get that. My wife. she's a hot Tom Hiddleston nut. It's crazy. I mean, she is so out of control.
They all are.
Oh,
the women are crazy. They're crazy about him. And I got to tell you, I've got like hundreds and hundreds of Twitter and Facebook fans because of him.
You posted a photo with him or something. Next thing you know, everybody wants to know about you.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
that's true. I can see that.
Yeah, and they're in shock. They're like, what was he like?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just so funny because, like, I was so close to him and they want to be close to me now. It's so bizarre.
Well, and I think part of it, and I'll say this too, because this is the way it was for Benedict Cumberbatch as well, because we were covering his career long before he was popular. And it was like, there's such an allure to the mystery because not many people know much about his personal life. He keeps his personal life really on the down low. Some people don't really know. So it makes him even more mysterious, more exotic. So the photo on Twitter becomes even more of a cool look behind the curtain, so to speak. So yeah, you've been part of that. You've been part of that. So I saw The Light. Yeah. It opens November 27th, and Denise Gossett, it's been such a blessing that you fit us into your schedule. We can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much, Ben, and this was a lot of fun.